Hello, and thank you for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangouts. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the program, President Muhammad Buhari tells APC governors to allow him choose a presidential candidate to succeed him. PDP to conduct fresh governorship primary in Bauchi after Governor Mohammed's failed presidential bid. And later on the show, ban on commercial motorcyclists in 6 Lagos local government areas commences today. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Konade Ototoju and Kolawole Johnson, who is returning after a long time. It's good to see you. Welcome to the show again. BKO, it's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm so good to see my younger brother, a patriot, a very good journalist.
All right, welcome once again. All right, Journalist Hangout starts now. Now, President Muhammad Buhari intervened at the 11th hour in this party's struggle to pick a presidential candidate for the 2023 elections, rightly or wrongly. At a meeting with the Progressive Governors Forum at the Aso Presidential Villa, Abuja, President Buhari told them that he is soliciting their reciprocity and support in picking his successor, who would fly the flag of the All Progressives Congress in the 2023 election. Quite interesting, BKO. Let me start with you. I remember soon after the APC convention that produced the incumbent chairman of the party, I remember asking you whether the president might want to toe the line of consensus candidate for the APC primary. But you said the president might not stoop that low to think in that regard.
I can't even remember exactly what I said. All I've always said was that it does not make any sense at this stage to be thinking of consensus. I want to see the delegates choose the candidate of the party. I don't want to see the president and a few powerful people in the party decide for everyone. Because at the end of the day, when you are talking about consensus, as we saw at Eagle Square the other day, consensus does not mean unanimity. It doesn't. Consensus does not mean unanimity. The fact that somebody has been thrown up as consensus candidate does not mean that everyone is happy to have him as the candidate of the party. In fact, in most cases, you leave people extremely displeased. We saw people crying like a baby on the podium the other day because their hopes were dashed. Years and months of hard work were dashed by the fact that a few people just chose to decide for everyone. And they will call that democracy. It's not democracy. It's not consistent with democracy for just a few people to decide for everyone. These guys have bought the expression of interest and nomination from the party for the presidential. For the position of president. So let them contest. Let them slug it out. Why is anybody afraid of a contest, a flat-out contest? That's what I want to see, and we saw it at the PDP convention. It was a success, a huge success that has now thrown the ball straight into the court of the APC. In sports, we will say that right now, the greater pressure is on the APC because they now have to match what the PDP has done. The PDP has chosen their own standard bearer. The APC must match it by choosing their own, and they must choose their own without any form of rancor. At least on the at the MQ Abiola Stadium, we didn't see evidence of rancor. Wike may leave the place and start talking about a governor who won with only 300 votes. I mean, even one vote still amounts to victory. You know, that was clearly a dig at Tambua. But we didn't see any form of rancor at the venue of the convention. That's what we want to see. But if we try to force someone on everyone, and that person is not popular, you are going to bring down the party. The party will collapse on your head. Politicians must learn from history. that look at Rawlings. Rawlings ruled Ghana for a combination of 19 years, both as a military ruler and as a civilian ruler. Rawlings, charismatic, popular, a proper Ghanaian hero. And so he felt that it was up to him to choose his successor. What did we see? His vice president of many years, Atta Mills, was the person that he wanted to succeed him. But the Ghanaians said, no, you are our hero, we love you so much, but you are not going to decide for us. You are not going to bring your own, you are not going to decide who your successor is all by yourself. And what did they do? They rejected Jerry Rawlings' candidate by a whopping 15%. And I can tell you, a lot of those issues that made the Ghanaians to take that decision, they are present today. So APC must do what is right. Act sensibly. If you choose anyone who is not popular because that is the person that you like and not the person that the majority likes, Atiku would defeat your candidate resoundingly. He is capable of doing that. He has the capacity to do that. He can be defeated if you find the right candidate, the right running mate. He can be defeated. But if we choose someone who is not strong enough, out of sentiment or anything, he will earn an unassailable victory. Let people remember that I dropped that piece of warning for the APC today. We are historians, and we don't forget things easily. But the politician is very forgetful. He's thinking of his goal. He's thinking of himself. So he has no time to do a tie back. Think about what happened in the past. And that is why they make a lot of mistakes. So it's our job to lay the cards on the table to them and tell them, look, there's no better time than to do what is right. And what is right is to let the people choose their leader. It's not for the president to determine who succeeds him. He doesn't have the power. The power to determine who succeeds the president resides in the ordinary voter.
All right, Kolaole Johnson. Well, there was a time the president granted an interview to journalists, and he said that if he mentioned the person that he might be supporting, the person might be killed. And again, we had him. He didn't say anything about that until recently, just yesterday, when we had him that he should be allowed to choose his own successor. What came to your mind when you heard that?
Very well. I think a time will come in this country when we won't be discussing PDP and APC. I mean, of course, I think they've stayed enough on the stage. We should be having fresh ideas now. However, if we are bound by circumstances to keep discussing them for now, we don't have a choice. So what comes to my mind when the president said it should be allowed, that they should allow him to choose his successor? I think it is not a surprise to me. First, I think I spoke somewhere not too long, and I said the president is a military man. Don't take that away from him. And they have a strategy of keeping their game close to their chest. And this is just one example of that. However, now if the president says, allow me to choose my successor, now, it is not absolutely all. If you look at the history of politics, of course, it is true that Abraham Lincoln defined politics as, defined democracy as government of the people, by the people and for the people. However, the elitist theory theorists told us that you always have a few people per time who decide for the larger majority, especially an organized minority. They have the power not just to decide, but to govern and continually rule over the larger majority. However, if this minority do that in the interest of the larger majority, there won't be a problem. But when the minority do this for selfish interest, it creates problem not just for the system, but also for the entire nation and for the polity. Now, if the president would choose a successor, now let's extrapolate and put and try to examine what he has done thus far, the decisions he has made in government thus far. If we are going to use his antecedent in terms of decision making to judge, then I think we may have reasons perhaps to start nursing some fears. And in whatever shape it takes, there would always be the final drama where whatever has been agreed upon, they will come open also to choose. So we are still going to have a semblance of a democratic system when we know that the action has been taken in. And do not forget that you have a race that is populated by a lot of pretenders. So you now see some particular group of people championing consensus. Now, when you see those who are loud, those who are the loudest folks on consensus, then you ask, is it that you cannot face the election by yourself? And so, if actually you're popular, you're not going to be so happy about the option of the president unpicking you. Now, if the president is going to look at one, stewardship, that is it trying to protect his legacy, then you ask, what exactly is the legacy that we should be protecting? The insecurity or the economy meltdown? I asked a question from some folks 2 days ago when we're talking about one of the aspirants, and my question is, even if this man is chosen, he will come to the public space, we will ask him question. I remember the VP 2019 when during the election debate, questions were being asked on the economy and the running of the government. The VP said that the president does not know, meaning he was the one that know. So meaning that he was in charge of the economy. So we're going to ask questions from whoever emerges at the end of the day. So if you're looking at the fact that the president wants somebody who can carry on with his legacy, so we should start asking the legacy. If campaigns were made on three tripod, the economy, anti-corruption, and security. On these three, of course, on these three strands, you can see that the government has not succeeded at all. So if he's also looking at some certain agenda that I think we have mentioned over time, some are saying right now that what the APC is trying to do is to look for a weaker, candidate for the party who would move, from the south, who will go against the former Vice President Atiku in PDP. Unfortunately, you can't take anything away from politicians. We knew, from time that there, some games were ongoing underneath. So if whatever you want to postulate in this, we must be very careful not to can I say not to create a system that people will be building on. Let me tell you the danger of this. That you may never have a time in this country so soon when candidates will emerge in a democratic process. So since it's been instituted up, it will go down. The president will keep choosing the successor. The governor will keep choosing a successor. Of course, we wouldn't have a democratic system or a democratic space so soon again in the country.
Well thought out. BKO, the chairman of the APC, the incumbent chairman of the APC, is being accused. He has been accused of taking unilateral decisions. One would not wonder why the president is saying this now after INEC has granted IPAC that extension of deadline for party primaries. Could this be the reason, one of the reasons why this was done? Because he never said anything, assuming the primaries or the primary was going to be held this past weekend.
One thing is clear: the president knew that the primaries will be postponed. That's why he traveled. Of course, he would not want it to be held in his absence. That's why he traveled that weekend. There was no plan at the level of the secretariat to suggest that they were preparing for any form
Just hang your thoughts. We'll definitely come back to you. We've got Mansour from Gusau who is joining us. Mansour, make your point.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mansour.
Yeah. Actually, this development is detrimental to our democratic process. And it is more disappointing if it is coming from somebody who once described himself as a converted Democrat. I can remember in 2019, aftermath of primaries in Zamfara State, I still have the video where President condemned what I can call installation of candidates. He was saying, as a president or as a governor, you can't sit in your office, say this one will be a governor, this one will be a deputy governor. So we are now in a situation where President is not practicing what he preached. And as far as I'm concerned, this is against the political ethics. This is against the political morality. And I believe if we are to continue in this line, we are not ready to practice this democracy. And for our democracy to thrive in Nigeria, the Nigerians must be the stakeholders in this process.
All right, thank you, Mansour. Your point is made. Thank you. BKO, pick it up from where you left it. Talking about the president knowing that this was the primary was going to be postponed before he traveled.
Yes, that's why he traveled. There's no way the president wants to stay away from the presidential primary of his party. No one does that now. So it's like he knew that it will not take place, and he traveled. No preparation was being made up until that postponement by the party to set up committee to even screen the candidates. So people already had a feeling that something was wrong. INEC had no reason in the world to postpone the APC primaries, especially when others had carried on, with theirs and fulfilled the stipulations. Look at the PDP; they were already in Abuja. They had done accreditation, So they saw no reason, and they went ahead with their own. But it's the ruling party that is now waiting for opposition parties to set the agenda for it, to take their own giant leaps, while the ruling party takes its own giant steps. It should be the opposition party that should be rattled, that should be worried about how things pan out. But you are waiting for the opposition party to set the tone. You then will then go and copy them. It's wrong. But that is not even my own concern. We want democracy to take root in our country. I've given examples before of what happened in South Africa, where Nelson Mandela Bay, where some of the greatest heroes of the apartheid struggle were born and raised. Opposition defeated the ANC in Nelson Mandela Bay in the municipal elections. And nobody thought anything was wrong with that. The results stood. That's democracy. That's democracy. We see frontline countries in this continent that Nigeria helped bring up. When I say bring up, Nigeria financed some of those frontline states, financed them. Some of their students came to Nigeria to study on our bill. Today, those countries are doing better than us across all kinds of parameters. It's a matter of shame, including even democracy, including even war against AIDS. Name it. Look at Botswana. It's an African pride. People will say, oh, these are smaller countries. Look, it doesn't matter. When they are rating you, nobody will talk about the size of your country. They are talking about what you are able to do as a country. That sets example for other countries. Nobody will look at Singapore and say, oh, it's a city-state. No. They are talking about Singapore as a great nation. Nobody is talking about its size. Yeah. And I'm saying that my country should set the right examples. Leaders in my country should learn from history. It's such a massive shame that at a point It occurred to some people that history should even be taken out of the school curriculum. That is one reason our people don't learn. Because I've given the example of Rawlings now. Rawlings is one of the greatest leaders to come out of Africa. But his people rejected the person that he wanted as his successor. That's the beauty of democracy. That is to show you that power resides in the ordinary voter. And if power does not reside in the ordinary voter, then it's not democracy. And I'm saying again that it is not in the president's place to determine who succeeds him. What he can do is to say, okay, this is my own candidate, or this is the person that I support. Campaign for him, move around, but not to use the word choosing my successor. Look, Bill Clinton promised 10 million jobs. He created 13 million. He's a great American president. But Al Gore, his deputy, could not succeed him. The people rejected him. Imagine rejecting the vice president of a highly successful government. That's to tell you that where the voter sees reason to assert himself, to use the power that the ballot gives him, he will use it, and he will use it correctly. We don't want to see a situation in which a particular individual at this APC convention is forced down the throat of other aspirants. Let the people mandated by law. In any case, both the president and his deputy cannot even vote at this convention. Let the people mandated by law choose the standard bearer of the party. If the Nigerian people now want that person to succeed the president, so be it.
All right, Kolawole, just very briefly, because we need to change tack now. The APC, the PDP is actually watching. They're lurking around the corner, laying ambush on the APC. And it looks like with what the president said, the party is trying to score an own goal.
Well, I don't think so. I wish I could give some, background to our political, culture. You should understand that when we talk about some advanced countries where the people can duly reject individuals, you're talking about an environment where votes count. Now, do not forget in 2019, let's just take some, sampling techniques here. 2019, the election was postponed, the presidential election, at the very last minute. And that was after, of course, as an observer, that was after PDP had shared its own agent and, mobilization money. Same thing happened now. So that should tell you two things. One, that the government is controlling INEC, either directly or indirectly. You don't see. I just gave you a proof based on what is obtainable in the public space. Now, so if that is the case, so the president may decide to choose a candidate and again back him up with the system to ensure the person wins. However, the people will be the one to suffer. I am saying something clearly, that the stage Nigeria is now, I don't think you need anything draggy. You need a sound brain to be able to bring us out of this doldrum. Right now, the debt profile is killing. No matter what you say, Nigeria is broke. We don't have the money. Our income is going directly to debt servicing. Number two, insecurity is destroying the entire nation. Number three, the main thing we thought Buhari was going to fight. See, I am not, if today I decide to criticize the president, no, sorry, you're right, 2003, we thought he was going to fight corruption. I worked for the president. 2007, it was only 2011 that I, went for Ibado. But 2015, we came back to him thinking he will fight corruption. But right now, I said on this same show some years back that the president is superintending over a very corrupt administration. They said it's a lie. Right. I'm sure we have seen that now. So you need somebody who can tackle these monsters headlong for the country to be saved. Then last one, somebody who can save us from the waste in government. We can't continue with this cycle of waste and you think the nation would develop.
Right. We've got Ade joining us from London. I'm not sure whether Ade is still there. Ade, if you're there, The ball is in your court now.
Babajide, thank you for your good job, please. And the other brother there. Babajide once told us that in Kano, the president preferred Abacha, son of Abacha, to be governor, but they rejected him. So now, if a government is performing very well,
no,
I want to introduce somebody.
Let me quickly tell you what I said. The people wanted Mohamed Abacha in 2011.
Okay.
They wanted Mohamed Abacha,
right.
but the president, because of his corruption baggage, that's Mohamed, and the fact that there was a court case, the president rejected Mohamed Abacha. The people now rejected the choice of the president. Even in his home state of Katsina, the people also rejected his choice for governor.
Thank you. God
yes,
bless you.
it was this Masari that I wanted at that time. The people rejected him. So nothing says that his choice cannot be rejected by the people because it has happened to him before.
Yes, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. That
thank you very much.
Convince the president now that his choice cannot be rejected by now. Head of a church was kidnapped, Methodist church. He paid 100 million.
Yes.
No one was listening and watching.
All right, thank you very much, Ade from London. Your point is made. We're actually due for a break. We're due for a break. We need to take a break. Do stay with us here on Journalist Hangout. We'll be back shortly. Thanks for staying with us here on Journalist Hangout. I've been speaking with Babajide Kolade Uzotoju and Kolawole Johnson. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time on the show. And we've been talking about the president soliciting the governor's reciprocity and support in picking a successor. Kolawole Johnson, well, just like some leaders of thought actually said, or thought leaders said, they said if a consensus candidate is imposed on the party, that might be a nail in the party's coffin. Do you agree?
Well, I may not, have a definite position on that, and here's the reason. You don't have a system that is scientific. That provides scientific, approach to issues. Anything can happen. Go back to 2019 election, you will understand what I'm saying. However, do not forget that the president is relying on the governors to actually achieve his aim. Whoever he picks is relying on the governor to be able to, of course, rally vote for the person. And are we sure the governors will have a single house to get that done? Yesterday was their first meeting. It ended in deadlock. They already pitched their tent with different aspirants. Now, would they drop their wishes? Would they drop their... Remember, the first rule of the game is self-preservation. And in two ways, I think the governors may want to play balls. One is the fact that they have their own candidate or their own aspirant that they've been supporting before. Number two, there is a trend with APC, if you note very well, that the party structure, suffers across board. You don't have a party that has a sound reward system. And that is because you have people in the arms of affair who are not political players. So you see people work for the party. At the end, some folks are picked from anywhere to come enjoy the benefit of their labor. And so they know, the governors know, that you need a political player at the top, of the government to be able to service the party. See, if you do not have a party, there's no government. If you don't have a personality like Buhari, I bet you there will not be, there won't be APC today. So I think the governors that is relying upon, to carry his wish may not give that 100% support for two reasons. One, they also want a life after this election. Many of them are leaving the state houses. So they need a life in the party. And they know that if they support whoever the president hands down, the same people will also be writing who takes work in the party for the same man. So they will all be kicked out. For self-preservation, I don't think the governors will want to commit this political suicide by supporting an individual who, number one, would not support their political interest.
All right, quite interesting topic, but then we'll continue to monitor the events as they, continue to emerge. Well, let's change tack by looking at other issue. From time immemorial, we're admonished that we can't eat our cake and have it. But in politics, especially in our climate, politicians want to do just that. There are speculations that the Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, is scheming to take the governorship ticket of the People's Democratic Party in the state after losing out in the party's presidential primary last weekend. To lend credence to this, the PDP is set to conduct a fresh governorship primary in the state following withdrawal of the candidate who was declared winner of the party from the race. The secretary to the state government, Ibrahim Kasim, who resigned his position to contest the governorship primary unopposed, was said to be holding brief for the governor. Wow. BKO, hang on. I just want to try something else somewhere else. If it doesn't work, I'll rush back to my primary constituency. What sense does this make to you?
No, but it's not a new thing in our country. I don't know where else this happens, but it happens here a lot. No doubt about it. It happens here a lot. Some people go into the presidential race for reasons other than to win. Some people will pay for two forms. They know that they will not clinch their first choice, but the second choice is always there. Just like when you
apply for
when you buy your JAM form,
first choice, second
your
choice.
first choice, second choice. Sometimes it's the second. It's the university of your second choice that eventually gives you admission. So the governor didn't do well in that primary election. Was well beaten. Now
20 votes, I guess.
Yes, just 20 votes. Probably delegates from his state alone, or even some of his own delegates probably voted for someone else. So now he's anchored back to his state. At least, so if I don't get to become president, let me keep what I still have. You recall that in 2014, Senator Okurucha did the same thing. Got his in-law to hold the seat, to hold the ticket and trust for him. And as soon as he lost the presidential primaries, he raced back to Imo State and collected the ticket from his in-law. It's the same thing that Tambuwal did. Tambuwal also raced back to Sokoto State and took the ticket from somebody that deposited in the race with the intention of simply standing in for him. So they do it a lot in this country. It's even, if not for the amendment of the electoral law, what we used to see was a candidate, an aspirant will take part in the primary election of a party, take part with his full chest, will now defect and go and take part in another one. Many of the people today who are in APC holding top positions, they took part in primaries of the PDP, ran to the APC, they were received with open arms. People like Governor Tom received with open arms and became governor at the other end. People like Atiku Bagudu in Kebbi. So these things continue to happen. But thankfully, after that amendment, do you know what all these aspirants now do? It's the word withdraw. In this race, the word withdraw is common. They withdraw. So when they withdraw, you cannot say that they pass through the primaries from beginning to the end. When it's certain to them that they are going to lose, they now say they have withdrawn so that they can now go and take part in the primaries of another party. So you've seen people withdraw quickly. Once they sense that, this thing will not go for me, they will say they have withdrawn. That is to bypass that amendment of the electoral law, which says that you cannot take part in two different primaries of two different parties. So that is the new trick that they are using. But for this governor, I wish him good luck, because if he does not succeed, then the APC candidate, who happens to be my friend, the former chief of air staff, will just coast home to victory.
Well, Kolawole
I
Johnson,
think whether he succeeds or not, that man has a very strong chance, because the influence of the former speaker will work for him in APC. However, I think it is the way of the politician. Once they taste power, they don't want to leave it. It is difficult for them to stay out of the system.
and it's quite amazing how they always find a way to circumvent, all of these laws that we have.
Are they circumventing the law, or they created the law they created the law and also created the loopholes there?
They create the shortcuts.
It is their game.
So to speak.
They call the shot. The man making the laws at the National Assembly also. See, the game is self-preservation. That is the first rule. Wherever you see them, that is the first rule of the game. Now, the Bauchi State Governor actually trusted his SSG, whom he appointed, and brought him to hold that for him. Unfortunately, I don't know, but for gentleman's agreement, I don't think it is morally right. Forget the fact that we are saying he came to the national to play the game. The morality is there, that if you are called to hold this and you agree to that in the first instance, let's be able to hold ourselves at least within the ambience of integrity. Okay, this is my word I gave. I want to also protect it. He did not call him to come run for the election. He called him to hold the ticket. You can say it is wrong on his own part, but that's the game. As long as he agreed to that, it is expected of him to also honor his initial agreement by surrendering that same ticket when the man came back. However, if he refuses, don't forget that the governors are the most powerful, set of individuals in the political space. The party secretariat, national, would dance to the governor's tune by ensuring that, he wins that ticket back, no matter what they do. And if they decide, if it becomes difficult, there is no way the SSG can win the election. There is no way. But don't forget also, it's a game. The APC might have sensed the loophole and called the man, don't worry, hold the ticket. We'll run the election and we'll give you something. It's all part of the game. You can't take anything away from the game.
It does appear, because I was just going to ask you, because it's commonplace for people to, backstab themselves, outsmart themselves when it comes to political games. If the one who has stood in lieu of the governor had, outsmarted the governor, maybe the governor will actually do something. But then there are onlookers. The delegates are there watching all of this. We can say the governor is popular in the state because the one who stood in lieu of him scored 655 votes, just lost 1 vote out of all the votes. So can we say the governor is popular in the state?
No, the contest is not even taking place across the state. It's just...
within the party, I should say.
Not even totally within the party, just a few delegates. Those delegates... thanks to Mr. President, who refused to sign the amendment to the Electoral
Amendment Act. Yeah.
There are unusually few delegates this time around, and all of those delegates, there is no governor that is not in charge of the delegates from his state. There's no such governor. So, if the fellows come that many votes, it's the governor's people who voted for him. They voted for him believing that, yes, he's the person standing in for the governor. In some cases, the governors wrote down the list of delegates by themselves through crooked means. So in every state, the governor is in charge. If we had an expanded list of delegates, then it would have been a lot more difficult for the governor, because other interest groups would also have, will contribute delegates. But in this case, there are so few, you could almost count them on your fingertips. So these are the people's governors The governor's people have voted for that individual, believing that he's holding that position in trust for the governor. And now, Kauran Bauchi has gone back to take what, as far as he's concerned, belongs to him.
Yeah,
so he won't be the last person to do it. You know, he's a senator.
Yeah.
He knows the law. Right. You know, he won't be the last person to do it. Other people will still do it because people go into this contest with an eye on something lower. So if they fail to get this, they run back to take.
They have a solicit somewhere.
Yes.
Right. Well, it's the day of reckoning for commercial motorcyclists in Lagos. The ban on operations of commercial motorcyclists, popularly called Okada riders, in 6 local government areas of the state took effect today. In the midst of this, the state government has assured residents to remain calm and go about their normal routine as security agents are poised to enforce the ban. Let's share an update on the story with you.
According to the Lagos State's Transport Sector Reform Law of 2018, no persons shall ride, drive, or propel a motorcycle or tricycle on a major highway within the state, and any person in contravention of these provisions commits an offense and will be made to face the wrath of the law. The Lagos State government had exercised its powers after a security meeting which revealed that a good percentage of those parading themselves as commercial motorcyclists are indeed hoodlums and bandits who have invaded Lagos. Recently, a sound engineer was reportedly lynched and burned due to a misunderstanding with commercial motorcyclists over 100 naira. This necessitated the action taken by the state government, which covers 6 local governments, including Ikeja, Surulere, Etiosa, Lagos Mainland, Lagos Island, and Apapa. Irked by this development, the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, tasked security agencies to join the enforcement. He noted that this is a phased ban that the state will embark on.
This is the phased banning that we're going to be embarking on, so that others know that in a short while, it's either they get out or for something else to do.
According to report, many riders in Lagos are said to be from Chad, Niger, and other parts of the African continent. Despite this apparent security risk, the decision elicited diverse reactions from Lagos residents. While some are happy with the development, others say their operations should be regulated as they offer some form of value for a state like Lagos.
A lot of people that are Okada riders, some of them are graduates. What has government put in place?
You know, there are some areas you can't easily get transportation and all that. They can do that for you. So highways, yes, they can be banned from highways because of the risk involved.
Those who are genuinely earning a living using Okada and who feel that they can earn a better living, more decent living using any other means, they will be allowed to come into cooperatives that should be formed. They can form themselves into cooperatives, 10 of them, 15 of them, and then they will be able to benefit from the last mile and first mile bus scheme that the government has introduced. But those graduates can come to Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, present proposals where they can get some money to go and start their own businesses. They can join Lagos State vocational centers, those who don't have any certificates among them.
The Lagos State government says June the 1st is the deadline, and the task force has begun seizing commercial motorcycles plying the highways in violation of the law. It remains to be seen how long this enforcement will last, as many have expressed concern about its full implementation. Theophilus.
All right, Kolawole Johnson, we understand that some riders have started emigrating out of Lagos. Share with us your optimism about this ban?
I'm always an advocate of arresting issues before they become crisis. If the government had listened to us when we were shouting about the level of insecurity in those days, I don't think we will get to this quagmire we are now. If you look at the statistics, the first quarter of the year, the Southwest that used to be the safest zone in the country is no longer. South took over I think we are, second or so. Lagos alone recorded about 14 deaths due to insecurity. Of course, still low compared to Nigeria that had about 450 deaths. But we are not in the same zone. So when you have issues on ground already, it behoves on the government to take the right steps, to stop this. And what the government has done, of course, we should support it to ensure that we don't have a situation where insecurity again will become an issue in Lagos State. Government must have the nerves to take decisions. See, in government at times, when you get to some critical time, it is no longer a popularity contest. You just have to take the decision you need to take. Of course, what you need to do is to sell the decision, market it to the people. So if you notice that most of these guys are not Nigerians, you will see some truckloads of these guys with their bikes coming in from some, part of the country. So if they are going back, it's not a crime. It is good for us.
All right, BKO, the government and the people, of course, the people were torn between what was the issue of morality and emotions. Morality, no, it is not right that you start riding bike on the highways. Emotions, where are we going to get jobs? We are just like one of the respondents said. We are graduates, we don't have a job, and these are ways of making a daily living.
Yes, but they don't have to ride their bikes on the highway. I mean, you may end up losing your life and not earning a living. No? And when you lose your life, you put your family in misery. So no one should ride bicycles, or motorcycles on the highway. If you are going towards Ibadan, you get to Baja on top of the bridge. You see the irresponsible way they are riding bikes, dashing across the road, across the highway. And if anything touches them, they will surround the vehicle. They may even set the vehicle ablaze. In broad daylight, these irresponsible riders burnt down a human being. In broad daylight, they brought petrol and set someone ablaze. I was even surprised that the reporter said reportedly, something that the video has gone viral. There's nothing reportedly about it. So if we have this kind of individuals, then we need to cage them. We need to bring them under control. This was how bandits, headsmen, and the rest put our country in trouble. Today, you can't move around freely. If care is not taken, Lagos, especially the southwest, will become something else, because we are seeing a spike in crimes because of the activities of these people. We are seeing even drug trafficking. We are seeing a spike in it because of these people, because they now serve as drug couriers. They use them to deliver illicit drugs to people. And look at accidents happening all the time. So we've got to do something. I'm not even... I want a total ban. It's not a... partial ban. Yes. And government, Lagos State government, I've said it before, it is not something that Governor Sanwo-Olu cannot do. Buy these buses, 7-seater buses, 8-seater buses, buy plenty of them. Right. Replace this, for those of them who want alternatives, replace these motorcycles with those buses.
I'm afraid we've got to go because
before we go, just a few seconds, please.
All right. In less than 30 seconds. Please.
Yes. I don't think I support generalization of ideas. One, blanket ban. Some areas may need this. Then, number two, for us to say that to provide jobs for some of them, maybe if you have one or two of them who are graduates, that doesn't mean we should generalize that, all these bike riders are graduates.
We've got to go. Your point is made. Kolawole Johnson, thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
For making it to the show. And Babajide Koladu, thank you so much for your keenness of insight always. Thank you. Well, and there you have it. That's our show. That's it on Journalist Hangouts. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. Join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.